chamber.
Well, good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. At this time, I would acknowledge that we meet on the traditional land of Treaty 6 territory and the Métis homelands, and acknowledge the diverse indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory for centuries, such as Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Nikurasu, as well as Métis and Inuit, now settlers from around the world. I will do a roll call of council members. Excited to be back after break. Councillor Wright.
Good morning.
Councillor Knack.
Good morning.
Councillor Principe.
Good morning.
Councillor Stevenson.
Good morning.
Councillor Paquette.
Good morning.
Councillor Tang.
Good morning.
Councillor Hamilton.
Good morning.
Councillor Rutherford.
Morning.
Councillor Salvador.
Good morning.
Councillor Cartmel.
Good morning.
Councillor Rice.
Good morning.
And Councillor Jans.
Good morning.
So everyone is here. Adoption of the agenda. Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I didn't see any adjustments to it, so I'll move the agenda as presented.
Thank you. We need a
Second.
second. Councillor Rice seconded that. Please vote.
I'm a yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Did we have someone else that say?
I'm also yes.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hamilton. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. Vote is carried. Any protocol items? Seeing none, at this time I will explain the process for public hearing. The clerk will call out the bylaws to be dealt with. I will call out the names of the people registered to speak to each bylaw. Next, council members will select the bylaws that they wish to discuss and vote on any bylaws that have not been selected for discussion. Council will then deal with each of the bylaws that were selected for discussion and debate. For each item, administration will first provide an overview of the bylaw. Members of the public who have registered to speak will then be invited to make their presentations. Those in favor will speak first in panels, followed by those opposed in panels. Each person will have 5 minutes to make comments. The clerk will run the official timer in council chamber. The timer lights on the podium will be green for the first 4 minutes, then yellow when there is 1 minute remaining, and flash red when the 5 minutes are up. If you're participating virtually, you may wish to use a timer of your own. When everyone in your panel has had a chance to present, members of council may ask questions of you or other panel members. For this reason, you may wish to remain in the meeting until all questions have been asked of your panel. After comments from the public, council may ask questions of city administration. After all questions of administration have concluded, I will ask council if they wish to ask any further questions of those who presented in the response to new information that may have arisen during the public hearing. Thereafter, council may close the public hearing and debate the bylaw. If you're participating virtually, please remember to mute your microphone when you are not speaking and refrain from using the raise hand function as it creates issues of fairness and decorum. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties, please reach out to the office of the city clerk using the contact information provided in your confirmation of registration or at city.clerk@edmonton.ca. If you're here with us in person, the clerk will guide you to your seat when it's your turn to speak. In the event of an emergency, please follow the clerk's directions to evacuate. City staff will direct you to your muster point. At this time, I'll ask Clerk Stolars, may you please call the bylaws?
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Items 3.1 and 3.2 will be dealt with together. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.1, bylaw 20561, to amend the Maple Ridge Industrial Area Structure Plan, or item 3.2, charter bylaw 20562, to allow for industrial business uses, Southeast Industrial?
In favor, we have Allison Rosland from Situate joining remotely. Allison, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and I only need to give a presentation if the item is selected for debate.
Okay, only if selected. Thank you, and no one is in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Items 3.3 and 3.4 will be dealt with together. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.3, bylaw 20543, to amend the Jasper Place Area Redevelopment Plan, or item 3.4, charter bylaw 20544, to allow a mix of small-scale housing, Britannia Youngston?
In favor, we have Alco Frenken to answer questions only, joining us remotely. Elko Fenken, are you there, please?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. And
Thank
no
you.
one is in opposition.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.5, charter bylaw 20550, to allow for a mix of small-scale housing, Hazeldean?
In favor, we have Abdullah Al-Mikawi to answer questions only from Tuluan Designs, and Johnny Rodas to answer questions only, Platinum Living Homes, both joining us remotely. Abdullah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
And Johnny, are you there? No. And in opposition, we have Debbie McKay joining in person. There you are, Debbie. Thank you for joining us. Gordon Lair. Thank you, Gordon, for joining us. Okay, that's it. In opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.6, charter bylaw 20547, to allow for low-intensity commercial office and services uses, Glenora?
We have in favor Marcelo Figueroa to answer questions only, Green Space Alliance joining remotely. Marcelo, are you there?
Yes, good morning. Sohi.
And no one is in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.7, charter bylaw 20558, to allow for low-rise multi-unit housing, Pleasant View?
In favor, we have Ryan Edick to answer questions only from Innes in person. Ryan, there you are. Andrew Olson to answer question only from Innes in person. There you are, Andrew. No one is in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.8, charter bylaw 20551, to allow low-rise multi-unit housing, Ritchie?
We have in favor Ryan Edick. He's already here in person. And no one is in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.9, charter bylaw 20559, to allow for industrial businesses and compatible commercial businesses, Calder?
In favor, we have Tracy Borelli to answer questions only in person. There you are, Tracy. And Gino Borelli to answer questions only in person. There you are, Gino. And no one is in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.10, Charter Bylaw 20552, to allow for the development of infrastructure systems and facilities that provide a public benefit, the orchards at Ellerslie?
We have in favor Rod Hendricks to answer question only from Stantec remotely. Rod, are you
Good
there?
morning, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And Peter Sukelis to answer questions only Brookfields Properties, joining remotely.
Good morning.
Okay, you're both there, and no one is in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Items 3.11 and 3.12 will be dealt with together. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.11, Bylaw 20545, to amend the Callahan Neighborhood Area Structure Plan, or item 3.12, Charter Bylaw 20546, to allow for low-rise, multi-unit housing and public park uses, Callahan?
We have in favor Jeff Hansen to answer questions only BNA, joining remotely. Jeff, are you there?
Yep, I'm here, Your Honor.
Brian Murray to answer questions only from BNA, joining remotely.
Good morning, Mayor.
And Danny Wilson to answer questions only Rohit Group, joining remotely.
Good morning, Mayor.
No one is in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Items 3.13 and 3.14 will be dealt with together. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.13, Bylaw 20548, to amend the Hayes Ridge Neighborhood Area Structure Plan, or item 3.14, Charter Bylaw 20549, to allow a range of ground-oriented housing forms atop a bank walkway and utility right-of-way, Hayes Ridge area?
In favor, we have Michaela Davis, Melkor in person, and Katrin Kubik, right? Chopkobak, Arcadis in person. And are you only if it's selected to answer questions only, both of you? To answer questions only, okay. No one is in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Items 3.15, 3.16, and 3.17 will be dealt with together. Is there anyone to speak to item 3.15, Bylaw 20555, to amend the Dakota Area Structure Plan, item 3.16, Bylaw 20533, to amend the Strathcona Area Redevelopment Plan, and Bylaw 20556, to amend the Meltwater Neighborhood Structure Plan, or item 3.17, Charter Bylaw 20557, to allow for a variety of small-scale housing, medium-rise multi-unit housing, and low-intensity commercial uses, Meltwater.
In favor, we have Claudia Rusnak to answer questions only from Investec, joining remotely. Claudia, you there?
Good morning, Mayor. I'm here.
Okay, and Shabeg Grewal to answer questions only Angam Developments in person. Okay. And Lilith Holder, Investec in person. Here you are. Are you only here to answer questions, Lilith, or to make a presentation if it's selected? If it's selected, okay. No one is in opposition.
Mayor, we just have a change to the speaker list. I understand that an Andrew Olson, who is listed for item 3.7 currently,
Just hold on. 3.7, yeah.
yeah, would also like to be added as a speaker for 3.8. I understand questions only in favor.
Just hold on. Andrew Olson, right?
Yes.
Okay, Andrew Olson on item 3.8, Ritchie, bylaw 20551. To answer questions only, Andrew? Oh, there you are. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so that is it. Okay, at this time, I'll go to council members for to select bylaws they wish to debate. All right, Councilor Jans.
Thank you. I'd like to select item 3.5.
3.5. Okay. Councilor Wright.
I'd like to select 3.1 and 3.2. I just have
Hold
questions.
on. 3.1.
And 3.2?
Yeah.
Just questions for administration.
Questions to administration, okay. Councilor Rice.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. I would like to select 3.11 and 3.12. Still always together.
3.11, 3.12. Okay. Any other selections?
I do have one quick question I could follow up for 3.13 and 3.14, but I can follow up offline.
Okay, so you don't need
Yeah.
to select them, okay. All right, so that is it. At this time, I'll go to Councilor Cardwell.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. I will move closure of the public hearing on items 3.3, 3.4, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, 3.10, 3.13, 3.14, 3.15, 3.16, 3.17.
Second.
Second by Councilor Rice, so please vote for closing of the public hearing.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. Also, Councillor Hamilton, your sound is coming across not great on our side, just as a heads up. We have all the votes.
Okay. Display the votes, please. That is carried.
Mayor Sohi, I'll move first reading of the aforementioned items.
Second.
Thank you. Second by Councilor Rice, please vote.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
There you go, that's much better. Thank you, Councilor Hamilton.
Thank you. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
Mayor Sohi, I'll move second reading of the aforementioned items.
Second.
Thank you. So please vote.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
Mayor Sohi, I'll move consideration of third reading of the aforementioned items.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote for consideration.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
Mayor Sohi, I'll move third and final reading of bylaw 20543, Charter bylaw 20544, Charter bylaw 20547, Charter bylaw 20558, Charter bylaw 20551, Charter bylaw 20559, Charter bylaw 20552, bylaw 20548, Charter bylaw 20549, bylaw 20555, bylaw 20556, and charter bylaw 20557.
Second.
Thank you. So please vote for the final reading.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Okay. Okay, we are on to our first item, bylaw 20561 to amend Maple Ridge Industrial Area Structure Plan and Charter bylaw 20562 to allow for industrial business uses, Southeast Industrial, and this is selected by Councillor right? And Elson Rossland is to, were to make presentation if it was selected, right? So I don't know if she wished to, if they wish to still make a presentation, because Councilor Wright only has questions to administration. So I'll go to Elson Rossland. Are you still making a presentation?
If Councillor Wright has questions for me, then yeah, I certainly can give the presentation. But if she only has questions for administration, I'm not sure that's necessary.
Okay, well, Councilor Wright, only to questions administration, right? Okay, that's fine then. Thank you so much.
And I can just be available to answer questions.
Yeah.
That might be the more efficient route.
Absolutely. Okay, if
Okay,
there are
great.
questions to you, thank you so much. Okay, Councilor Wright, go ahead, please.
Great, thanks, Allison. Yeah, I've got no concerns with the actual rezoning of that property that you're looking at. Where I do have concerns is the overall ASP change. And I'm just wondering, because, I guess because this will also affect some residential residents within the Maple Ridge Mobile Home Park, I'm just wondering, has any consultation been done with them? Ms. Petrin?
So this is to administration.
Yes.
Go ahead, please, yeah.
The team has further information at that.
Can you provide that?
Barry?
Thank you, Councillor Wright. As part of public engagement for this application, information was posted on the city's website, and a notice was sent to residents and landowners within the geographic area.
So, but within the geographic area of just the one lot that's being rezoned, right? Not the wider ASP area.
That is correct.
Okay. And so looking at the map and the surrounding area right now, I think around the Maple Ridge Park, it's right now zoned for light industrial, is that right? And so that won't change?
That is correct.
Okay, so that won't impact them as much, I guess. And then as part of the zoning bylaw renewal, then that will become what type of zone?
The BE zone, the business employment zone. So both the IL and the IB will transition into the business employment zone.
Oh, I thought I was looking at, I thought it was changing the medium industrial zone. Oh, sorry, that's the IM, not the, hang on, business employment zone. Oh, sorry, okay. And then there's another section in there up in the sort of the northeast corner, which is designated right now as medium industrial with restrictions. Will that stay once zoning bylaw comes about?
With the adoption of zoning bylaw, if council approves zoning bylaw in October, the IL and the IB will transition into the business employment zone, and the IM zone will transition to the IM zone with certain changes in the regulations. So to answer your question, yes, the IM would remain IM in the new bylaw.
And it would be with whatever current restrictions are on there right now?
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct.
okay.
Those are all subject to council approval.
Of course, yeah, but
yeah.
from what we can see of the draft zoning, okay. Okay, so I guess it's not going to impact the Maple Ridge Mobile Home Park as much as I first had thought, so with that light industrial staying, okay. I don't think I have any other questions then. Oh, I did have one. In the report on page 6, it talks about the widening of 34th Street and signalization happening in the next couple of years. How old is this report? Because it's happening now.
Yes, it also talks about the signalization. So from inception to the completion, it's the ballpark within a couple of years, which is solely tied to the larger zoning to the north for Fulton Creek development.
Okay, so that the signalization on 51st Ave and that's not going in right now with the widening that's going on?
I don't think so. That will be subject to further warrant analysis. So
Oh.
that's why we have given a ballpark number so that we can go do the traffic counts and then assess when is the right timing.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. I thought it was going on with everything else. Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have, and my time's up, so
Okay.
good thing.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Rutherford?
Yeah, thank you. Just following up to Councilor Wright's questions, I did have highlighted as I was reading the report, the planning report, attachment 2 of 3.1. It says that the plan amendment also proposes an administrative amendment to remove most references to specific zones. There's that section there. While we can't presuppose if the new zoning bylaw will be approved, all of those things. I guess I'm just trying to get clarity for myself and for the public. What is the decision point today? And what's the decision, like, what are we deciding on now within those broader text amendments? And what does that look like going forward? Both if the zoning bylaw changes are approved and if they're not approved. Do you see what I'm saying?
So the decision before us today is the rezoning from IL to IB, but the plan makes specific references to those zonings in the plan. So the admin amendment was aimed to clean up the plan and facilitate the rezoning today.
Oh, so it's just simply, like, if I'm understanding this in plain non-planning speak, other parts of the structure plan make reference to what will likely be a coding zone that doesn't exist. And so you're just trying to be proactive. But wouldn't that change automatically post October 16th anyway? Because isn't that the mass sort of, or are we going to have to clean up a bunch of text amendments? Like, I imagine this wouldn't be the only one, this wouldn't be the only structure plan that would have those kind of similar references.
Councillor, sorry, over here, it's Travis. As we go through and amend and have these discrete applications for not only this ASP, but other, whether it's an area redevelopment plan or structure plans, where these plans have made specific references to specific zones, we've been removing those references. That doesn't change the overall designation of, say, a low-density area or a high-density area. It just removes the reference to you must use the RA9 here.
I know, I get that, I'm just trying to understand. Absolutely, the like for like, I completely understand, and so if we make the decision today to change the zoning, that the like for like will be what will be in the new zoning bylaw. I get that. I'm just trying to understand if is this not in scope of the mass overhaul of the zoning bylaw, and if not, what is the scope and scale of the amount of structure plans that would also have these kind of quirks to them? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, so it's not in scope and scale for ZBR. ZBR isn't going into the structure plans to amend these little fragments. Their district planning is running in parallel, which is also removing a bunch of plans.
Oh, so district planning will cover this?
Not necessarily, because it is complex and these plans have been approved at a certain date. Some of them are being removed, some of them being amended. There is a lot that are probably being scrubbed of sort of these specific references through district planning, but through that process we'll have a better understanding of what is left and what's needed to be done as we move forward in the sort of the new planning environment post ZBR and district plan if it's approved.
Sort of post whatever decisions are made on October 16th, administration will at some point come back for a mass cleanup of these structure plans, or will it just be on a, as they come up for some sort of amendment, they'll be cleaned up? I'm just trying to get a picture.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit of both. Okay. Some are being amended through district plans as that process is moving forward, and some of them are just staying as is in situ, which as we get these discrete applications, we can go and clean up. But we've been doing these cleanups outside of ZBR or district planning for at least, well, since these plans have been created, which sometimes are decades old.
Yeah.
So we go through and change them as needed with discrete application. There isn't a program that continues to keep them up to date, but as we move forward with the new planning environment, the idea is that these plans, the new ones, are kept up to date through admin amendments, through omnibus amendments, et cetera.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rutherford. So that concludes the questions to administration. I see no more questions. At this time, I will ask if council members have any further questions out of new information arising out of the previous discussion. Seeing none, at this time, we are ready to close the public hearing on this bylaw. Councillor Wright?
Thank you. I like to close public hearing on items 3.1 and 3.2.
Second.
Second by Councillor Rutherford, so please vote.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. It is carried.
I'd like to move first reading on bylaw, or on item 3.1 and 3.2.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
And move second reading on item 3.1, 3.2.
Second.
Please vote.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton.
Okay, display the votes, please. That is carried.
Move consideration for third reading on item 3.1 and 3.2.
Second.
Please vote for consideration.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
And move third reading on bylaw 20561 and charter bylaw 20562.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote for the final readings.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Okay. Okay, our next item is 3.5, Charter Bylaw 20550, to allow for a mix of small-scale housing. Hazeldean, this was selected by Councillor Jans. And we have Abdullah El-Mikawi to answer questions only, Johnny Rodas to answer questions only, and we have two members of public in opposition, Debbie McKay as well as Gordon Lair, both joining us in person. And Councillor Jans, do you need a presentation? I think it'll be good to have a presentation from administration in light of members of public. Just wait, we'll call you up when your turn to speak. Go ahead, please, administration.
Good morning. This application proposes to rezone a site in the Hazeldean neighborhood from the RF1 single detached residential zone to the RF3 small scale infill development zone. The purpose of the RF3 zone is to provide for a mix of small scale housing, including single detached, semi-detached, and row housing. Next slide, please. This site is an appropriate location for a gentle increase in density. It is located in close proximity to active travel modes, public transit, commercial opportunities, open space, and gathering places. Bus service is available approximately 150 meters from the site on 63rd and 66th Avenue. Nearby open space includes Hazeldean Park and Mill Creek Ravine Park, and in addition, a commercial site abutting 96th and 66th Avenue serves the site. Next slide, please. Administration sought feedback from the public through a mailed notice, site signage, and information published on the city website. One response was received prior to the report being written, and 4 additional responses were received last week. concerns include ongoing change in the neighborhood being difficult for current residents, a loss of neighborhood character, including the introduction of multi-unit housing, increased on-street parking and traffic congestion, which creates visibility challenges and safety concerns for the residents in the area, comments around infill being too large and blocking sunlight, that infill is unaffordable and increases neighborhood property taxes, questions around the infrastructure capacity and whether it's sufficient for the increase in density, construction noise and disruption, increased site coverage, which reduces green space on the site, and privacy and noise concerns. Also, last week, administration received a petition against the rezoning with approximately 43 signatures, all very similar concerns. Next slide, please. When comparing the current RF1 zone with the proposed RF3 zone, the key difference is an increase in density and site coverage. In addition, the site is a corner site. It's surrounded by public roadways on 3 sides. Corner sites are an appropriate location for a gentle increase in density as they mitigate the impacts to the neighboring properties. Next slide, please. The proposed rezoning aligns with the city plan's big city move of rebuildable city by helping to achieve a target of 50% new units through infill citywide. Additionally, the proposed rezoning provides an opportunity to increase diversity of housing types and to contribute to the livability and adaptability of the area. Next slide, please. Administration supports this application. It provides the opportunity for small-scale multi-unit housing, and it conforms with the city plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Are there any questions at this time to the folks in favor of the application? Council members? Seeing none, then we'll go to members of the public in opposition to the application. Okay, I will ask if Debbie McKay will be the first speaker, and I'll ask Gordon Lair to come up as well, be the second speaker. Thank you for joining us. Each of you will have 5 minutes to make your presentation, and please keep your eyes as well on the podium. That will give you indication when you have only 1 minute remaining when it turns to yellow. So go ahead, please. We'll start with Debbie McKay.
I am Debbie McKay. I am here to appeal the board revoke permit for the company to build on the lot overlooking Hazeldean. The purpose of this petition, I've got signatures, many signatures, to stop purpose zoning changes to the house located on 6411 93rd Street from RF1 to RF3, as well as the future development on the same street on the left side, 6512 93rd Street. These changes will allow the development for a fourplex multi-unit dwelling to the build in these locations. My proposed action, we, the underdesigned residents of Hazeldean community, are concerned citizens who urge Edmonton City Council to act now to stop this zoning change. This will affect our neighborhood and community profoundly by increasingly density, traffic, and parking. I have all the signatures here, and my issues. The change in the neighborhood is difficult and results in a loss of neighborhood character. Will result in increasing on-street parking use, parking in front of my house, which my friends have actually had to park elsewhere. Number 3, infill, new infills are not affordable. Number 4, infill is too large and it takes away the sunshine. It's their 29 high, like they're really high. Number 5, construction and trade creates noise and disruption in the neighborhood. And number 6, skinnies, infills, some of them are flipping them, and they're meaning unaffordable. Too much. Privacy is an issue. Stay RF1, not RF3 multi-living units. As far as affordability, it is the opposite. These infills, once completed, go for $750,000. These infills are not affordable. This affects my taxes. I have been here many 30 years and I intend to stay. In closing, I have presented this issue that affects me directly. I hope you understand my position, and I'm sure if it was your neighborhood, you would feel the same way. I feel I have heard neighbors complaining, and I have their signatures right here. Sincerely, thank you, Debbie McKay.
Thank you so much for joining us and making time to be here to speak on behalf of your neighbors. Next, we will hear from Gordon Lair.
Good morning. Thanks for everybody being here. I had a little bit of a technical situation. I didn't realize the timing needed, so I was unable to make a PowerPoint, and I brought some physical sheets, but by seeing all the people here, I know they couldn't see it. So the one lady down there is taking all the pictures that I've taken, and I'll speak to those as we go ahead. So I'll be coordinating a little bit with her what I put together for the neighborhood.
Can we please start Gordon Lair's time? Here you go. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Did I start too early? Okay.
You got 30 seconds extra. Don't worry.
She has a physical copy of what I did. So if we go to page 1 there, it's just basically a statement that the next picture, I've got verbiage here, and each one of these verbiages pages supports the picture that follows. So the picture that you're going to see next here shows all the current skinny homes, I call them, or infills, where they've put 2 homes in. And there's also a possibility, and that's what we're talking about here, is potentially 2 4-plexes in our area. Unfortunately, I just realized this morning that one of those have already put up a sign for a 3-plex. So we're looking for a 4-plex and a 3-plex that are going to be right on 93rd Street. Okay, so currently just in those pictures we have 14 skinnies, as I'll call them, or infills, and we've got 2 possible 4-plexes. Currently, without those 4-plex and 3-plexes being there, we have over 20 cars at any given time that park in our cul-de-sac. That makes it very crowded. And I went around to all my neighbors talking about this. 20 of them, all of the ones that I contacted, were in favor of not putting in the 4-plexes. So if we go to page 2, I think that's the picture. I don't know. Are you guys seeing the picture of, that's the picture of with the right green circles around it? It's page number 2 in your yes, okay, so if you look at that, I've circled all the buildings that are already in place with the side-by-sides or the infills. Those aren't really that much of a problem. They add some density, but I think they also bring some appreciation into our home values, so I'm somewhat good with that. The 2 that have the green circles are the proposed houses that want to have the 4-plex and the 3-plex. Okay, so if we go to number 3 in my write-up here, it just says that the current situation right now is already kind of over the top for our 93rd Street. On the picture, on the next picture, if you want to bring that up, I show all the accesses that we have to get into our cul-de-sac. And the on 63rd Avenue and 99th Street, you can see where the cars can get out of the area. On our street, the 93rd Street, I'll show you here shortly how the houses are placed on the street, and there's so many cars already that have been parking there. It's hard to get out of the cul-de-sac. When you pull up, there's 2 cars on each side in the cul-de-sac, and when they were renting the home for the one corner that's going to be torn down, there was about 4 or 5 cars that were always there, so you couldn't even see down the road to get out. And then when you pull out, it's a single lane road because people in their houses are parking on the street and there's only room for one car to go through. So there's heavy traffic, especially in rush hour, getting from internal Hazeldean out to 63rd. Okay. 97th Street and 96th Street, which are just further away from us, you'll see that they are wider roads and all the homes on those streets have access to an avenue and a street, so we don't have the same parking situation. Okay, so I think you were looking here at page number 4. Can't see exactly what's coming up, so now we'll go to number 5. Okay, so what I'm proposing here is our specific street right in front of the cul-de-sac, 93rd Street, is not built that way. The homeowners park on the road on the 93rd Street because they don't have an avenue and a street access. So there's lots of cars that sit on that road. And so there's no ability to, coming out of the cul-de-sac, there's not no ability, but very difficult to see oncoming traffic on 93rd. Again, the one corner lot had 4 to 5 vehicles already with renters, and turning left onto 63rd, when you finally get down to 63rd, when you're driving down 93rd Street, there's no light there, and it's a huge issue for trying to get out on there, especially during traffic. If someone pulls up onto Argyle, yes, if someone, that's 63rd. So if someone pulls up beside you to turn right, then you can't get out onto the road turning left because you can't see traffic coming from the right. So most of the people in the area just try to zigzag through the rest of the neighborhood to get out somewhere else. Okay, so if we go to page number 6, that's a picture of a Google Earth picture of our street. All you can basically see is trees, but that section right there, you can see all the houses that are side by side, and those people all have vehicles that they park in front of their home. So 93rd Street has become a one-lane road with a high car travel in the mornings and in the evenings to get to and from work.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so sorry that your time is up. You have
Oh,
a
it's already up?
last slide. You want to go to the last slide?
Okay, I'll go to the last few slides. You guys can have copies there, but all my verbiage is here too, which basically talks about the existing fourplexes that are over just 2 blocks from us that have to come out on these roads. And I did some calculations here. There's pictures there of what they're like, so I'll skip through those. There's right now there's 288 homes in that area, and so if you take the average, everybody has 2 vehicles. That's 576 vehicles that are currently trying to make their way to 63rd or to 99th. When construction's completing with the 5 new buildings that Christensen wants to put in, there'll be 476 homes, which will be 952 vehicles that are trying to get through the same infrastructure of the road to get out of there. So
thank you so much.
That's basically it. There's pictures in there, and my verbiage will cover what I basically just said with a lot of details of the numbers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, I'll open up to council members now at this time if they have questions to Debbie McKay or Gordon Lair. Okay. Here we go. Councillor Jans, go ahead, please.
Thank you. So I guess my first, and I'll ask maybe Debbie and Gordon if they want to respond together. So it really seems like the crux for both of you and the emails I've received from some of your neighbors does come down to this question of traffic.
Yes.
I mean, I heard about the sun, I heard about the affordability concerns or the taxes I got both ways, that one that would increase our value, which we're happy about, one that would lower it, which we're unhappy about. So but it seems like from just basically the broad emails I've got from the Hazeldean neighbors, it seems to really come down to this parking question. Is that a fair summation, or?
Okay.
If you turn on your mic, please, so my colleagues can hear too.
The over-congestion of all the traffic and the parking.
Yeah, and then I would say it's really focused on 93rd Street. That our cul-de-sac is already hard to get out of. Those 4plexes or 4 and 3plexes are supposed to be on that street. So the area is getting more and more vehicles, but I am kind of specifically talking about the roads right around 93rd Street. We have a problem coming out.
Right.
It's busy all the time.
Right. So that's interesting. I find this parking question fascinating because across the city we have different parking challenges. In some areas we don't have enough, in others we have too much. And I was thinking about, there's no guarantee though. Like let's say just one house went in there, but that house had 5 children, and those 5 children were teenagers, and they all had a car, and the parents each had a car, and very quickly in one house we could be up to 7 or 8 cars, or that might be an exaggeration, but there could be less. And then there seems to be, if there's a problem, it doesn't, like, it's not so much about what's on the corner as how many stalls. I'd just be curious in hearing your feedback about, should we have a regular, like, if you have a property, you're only allowed 1 or 2 permits or something like that.
Well, I would say I understand with what you're saying. If someone moves in and has 4 or 5 kids, that's just a situation where that homeowner has that issue, I'll call it. But that's not the normal. With the 4-plexes and 3-plexes, we can almost guarantee that everyone that moves in is going to have probably 2 cars each.
And there's suites in there.
And some of them might even rent out their basement suites. The one in the corner there right now already did that. That's why there was 5 cars there. So we can't control if someone buys a single house and has a bunch of kids and a bunch of cars. So we just deal with that. But with what you're proposing here, it's a given that there's going to be way more cars. I've got here in my calculation there'll be about 18 new cars if the 3-plexes and the 4-plexes go in. And I know there's garages, but a lot of people, and there's already people in our cul-de-sac, are using their garages as storage. So it's not a given that they will park one of their cars in the garage, because they're not 2-car garages, they're single-car garages.
Yeah. Do you think we should require them to not use their garages as storage and require them to park in there?
That would help. That would get rid of half of the 18 vehicles that would be new to the area once it gets built. But still, then you've got 9 vehicles that are going to be trying to park probably on 93rd Street, because our cul-de-sac gets full already.
It's interesting with the Christensen development near Lucy's there. If the bakery was if the developments are going in and we're getting all that additional traffic, would certainly I would hope that would merit more bus service from ETS, and that would help cut down on some of the back and forth.
Well, the bus service, I know the LRT, when it starts running there, will help hugely in getting people out of there, but they still have to get from their homes to the LRT. And so I don't know if the buses, maybe they will just use 66th Street, which would not be a problem. I've never seen a bus come down 93rd, so that wouldn't be an issue for if buses were starting to move people. But right now, for us in individual vehicles trying to get to 63rd or just to get out of our cul-de-sac and get places, it's the 93rd Street is really an issue. I actually ran head on with one guy one time that he stopped, and I had pulled out because I couldn't see him, and he just stopped and he wouldn't move. So I had to back up, go back into my cul-de-sac so he could get through. So people get a little annoyed too when there's too much traffic and we're kind of dealing with each other.
Yeah, noted. Debbie, did you want to add anything?
Well, the house that they're tearing down was totally renovated inside and out, and they had renters already in there, and there's nothing wrong with it. And there's a lot of people keeping up their homes, and then when they sell them, they tear them down. I just don't. And then multi-living units, I don't agree with.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, I'm out of
are
time.
we supposed to have
I'll have to defer
signs
to
in front
Michael.
of our house for no one to park?
Yeah.
It's going to look tacky.
I'm sorry, I missed your last point. What was that?
Do we have to get signs each in front of everyone's house to not park there except for us?
Okay.
And I guess everybody gets something except the neighbors, too.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Jens. Councillor Knack.
Thanks, Mayor Sohi, and thank you both for being here today. I wanted to ask, because we have this tension as a city right now. We are trying to increase density within all mature neighborhoods because most mature neighborhoods, including Hazeldean, have seen a pretty big population drop over the years. If you go back to 1971 census data, Hazeldean was 5,140 people. As of the 2021 census, you're down to 3,155 people, so almost a 2,000 person drop in the last 50 years. This is not uncommon. This is almost every mature neighborhood across the city, and we're trying to bring more people back into mature neighborhoods with that comes tension, right? And so there is that balance of how do we find that opportunity? Because what I've heard today is, based on Councillor Jansen's questions, significant parking concerns, but they exist today, not even with more people coming in. And I'm wondering if you can solve that problem, because there are other tools, does that help to begin to address the concerns?
Well, I can suggest a couple. Just,
Sure.
Again, 93rd Street, I think, is already congested, so more infills on that street, like the fourplex and threeplex, is going to have a big problem for 93rd Street. But if they started improving some of the access to get out to Argyle or 63rd Street, I mean, if you go to those corners, there's only 2 red lights that are available, and the one over by, I'll call it by Tim Hortons, if you're familiar with it.
I am, yeah.
Basically, you've got, when the two lanes coming towards you, they have the right of way for both lanes to get onto 63rd. So you can I've sat at that light, during rush hour for 3 light changes to be able to get out. So if you improved some ability for the people in that area to get out onto Argyle or 63rd or even onto 99th, that would be a start. But I think 93rd Street is already at its limit.
Okay, you've also had some points.
I'm really concerned about my taxes going up, and it's only because of these being built as well. So why do we have to have punishment for having our taxes go up when we've been there for 35 years? And it's getting too expensive, I'm going to be honest.
And that's a great point, because there's this tension between, as you see new development, you see typically assessment
And
values
we have
rise,
to
which
pay
raise-
for it, so I don't think that's right.
And then there's communities that I represent that haven't seen a lot of change, and they've seen their property values drop, and which in turn does
I
decrease the
don't care about the
tax.
property value, I'm caring about the taxes every month, because it's just too costly.
But what I was getting at is that there are communities that when property values begin to drop, you start to see an associated drop in property taxes or a not as high of an increase.
No, I understand that, but
And so, that's also part of that challenge, because it's, both options are challenging, because on one hand, if we see a lot of reinvestment in a community, that generally increases values, which increases taxes. But if you don't see an investment, you see a drop, and that begins to hurt people's equity in their homes. And I'm even heard from both of you as speakers, I think you have opposing views on, I've heard one saying skinnies are great, but that increases property values and property taxes. I've heard you say the other, and both create challenges that you have to deal with. And so I'm curious as to, if you don't see an investment in your community, you'll see things start to degrade, and you'll see property values go down, which could hurt equity in the home.
well, the new ones are
which I realize
expensive, ours shouldn't be that expensive.
Can
Ours shouldn't go up.
I make a point?
Yeah, and I realize I'm gonna self-govern myself, because property values, as Ms. Inkpen has turned on her mic to say, is not necessarily something we can consider, but you've raised it, so I wanted to.
If I just want to add to what Debbie's saying, when my house goes up in value and my property tax goes up, I'm somewhat okay with that, because it's got more value.
I'm not, because I'm staying there.
Yeah.
But
I live
you
there,
have
and
more,
that's my home.
you have equity in your house, there's more money.
Well, I don't care if it goes,
Yeah.
I don't want it to go up. 'cause-
All right.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So,
Well,
Mr. Janzer, that's all about the money, like he wants to keep it, because it'll make it better for him.
No, I appreciate that. So I'll focus, I'll get Ms. Inkman will govern me to go back to more of land use. There were a couple of other points that were brought up, things around height, and I guess I wanted to check, because the height of the developments, regardless of whether it's a single-family home or a multiplex development, same heights. The one difference with a fourplex is that it actually has to be situated further from the homes. The setbacks are larger, and so even though the heights are the same, it actually has a further separation. So things like sunlight are actually often better addressed through a higher form of density, because it's the same height but further setbacks. And I just wouldn't mind your thoughts on that.
Can I answer to that? I appreciate you saying that, because I was in the description on the one fourplex, it said what could be built there, and it said this is non-exhaustive, which I didn't quite understand, but that tells me they could put in a 3-4 story building there if they wanted. And so if you're saying you're going to keep the heights the same, only at two stories, that fits in with the side-by-sides, which I feel are somewhat acceptable, even though
I'm out of time, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think that'll be very good clarification from administration. Yeah, okay. All right, so next we'll go to Councillor Wright.
Thank you very much, and that was sort of where my line of questioning was going to, and I'm just wondering if the clerk can bring up slide number 4 again. just to show the comparison, because Debbie, I think that was your concern, was having the skinny homes and the height
Why
and
can't they
that.
make bungalows anymore? Nice little homes?
So if we can,
Okay, Travis.
so yeah, so if you can see on the slide there, so the height's the same, and as Councillor Knack has said, you know, setbacks and that are greater under the RF3. So does that, you know, does that kind of maybe convince you
Well,
that maybe it's not as bad going from the RF1 to the RF3?
I can't speak for Deb, but to me, that knowing that they're limited to 2 stories, that was one question I had, and I like your answer that they can't go any higher than that. So, and I've already said the infills with 2 houses or even a duplex that we have in there now actually can enhance the area. It gets a little more traffic, but our property taxes go up because our value of our homes go up, so I'm okay with that. So Deb's on a different page.
And Debbie, are you like, so,
I'm
I
not
mean,
okay with
you
that.
seem to have a concern with skinny homes, so this would, really right now, your only option on that lot, besides a bungalow, would be the skinny homes, at least maybe under the RF3, it could be a nice set of row houses, or?
No, I think it just adds too much traffic in our neighborhood. It's just congested. If you come and see, drive there and watch it for a day.
Okay, and that is if everybody has 2 vehicles, I guess, and Councillor Jans was talking about families, you know, my family of 5 had
with
5 vehicles in a cul-de-sac, and we had to juggle parking
Yep,
back and forth,
yep.
and that was our fault for having 3
That's
kids, I
acceptable
guess.
because they own the house, you know. They
But,
own it.
and with it being a mature neighborhood, does everybody really have 2 cars? I mean, you know, as seniors get older, they might not be able to drive.
Well, that's a good
And
question.
now our seniors going to go up and down those stairs in those skinnies. Those skinnies aren't even prepared.
Well, this takes away from the skinnies,
Yeah.
and it does give you
Okay.
other options.
So the cars, that's a good question about, you know, do they drive as much? Someone had said in those complexes where there's going to be 4 stories, a lot of them are going to be seniors. But my comment is you're going to have similar traffic because they need services then. They're going to have people that will be delivering things to them. They'll have maybe they shop more with Amazon. Maybe they have their kids and family come and visit more. Maybe they, you know, if there's any medical needs, there'll be more traffic. So I think even though people are older, a lot of them still drive, but if they're in their house and they have needs, they will be relying on taxis and all kinds of other things to come in and get them and move them around, right? So
Which would be the same
it
as
would be similar
right now,
to having
right?
all the cars, yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
doesn't matter where you live if you need those services, whether it's in a multi-unit.
Yeah, so now we're
property
talking
or
about
house.
the 4-story one, so that's not finished yet. So there's going to be, I said 972 potential cars, so maybe it's only 1 car per unit. That's still over 400 cars, and then the people that don't have a car are going to be having a lot of services that drive into a system. So I think that's a good analogy to figure out how much more increase in traffic is going to be happening. So.
And there is the bus service as well. People don't necessarily drive.
Well, when it's there, because pretty much everybody I talked to said in the last 2 years the bus service has gone way down, and I've always said to them, well, I think it's because you're planning for the LRT to be in function, and so I can see where you downplay your ability to get downtown with buses, because a lot of them are saying. One guy said, to get downtown to work, I got to go to 4 different buses to get downtown, and that never used to be the case. So when the LRT's in, I know that'll relieve that. But if you know, with all these 4plexes and then the new 4-story buildings going in there, there's going to be a lot of people just trying to get out of there at rush hour. So.
And I know the slide, and I just have a few minutes. The slide does show the bus service on 66th Ave, but isn't there also bus service along 63rd? We've got the multi-use path. I see the bike lane.
Nope.
No,
there's
nothing on 63rd?
No, there's 2 lanes going both ways, and there's no place to stop for a bus.
Okay, but there is some, like I said, on 66th Ave.
66, yeah, there is on 66.
Okay. All right, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. And Councillor Paquette, can you take the chair, please?
I have the chair.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, we hear your concerns around traffic, but as Councillor Knack mentioned, the overall population has declined in Hazeldean, as has declined in many other mature neighborhoods, but more people drive, right? So One thing that we're trying to do is actually enable people to use other modes of transportation, such as public transit or ride their bike. We're trying to build that bike infrastructure throughout the city, and having this location close to a bike lane, which is there on, I think it's on 66, then goes into the, also having a very, I would say, the ravine through the Mill Creek ravine, walkable pathways and trails that a lot of cyclists use to go back and forth to downtown and to southeast. Do you see that increase?
Well,
do
I
you, do
see
you
that,
see
but
that as an,
that's only 4 months of the year. All through the winter, there's no people riding bikes to get places, you know. So that in the 4 months, I see more bicycles going by, whether they're exercising or trying to get someplace.
Yeah, okay.
Especially with e-bikes, I see people use them to get downtown.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a very good point. I think that's why it's so important that I think this is a transportation-related question. I'll ask that to administration. Like, what are we doing to allow people to use sustainable modes of transportation other than driving throughout the city and through all seasons, not just during summer months. So I think that's something we're trying to do. We'll ask that question to administration, but to hear your concerns.
My belief is Christensen is already passed. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm just really trying to get 93rd so it doesn't get blocked up any more than it is. And those two homes that are currently going to be built, the threeplex and the fourplex, just really concern me that we're going to have a real problem getting out of there worse than what we have right now.
So any, like, as we, it's so exciting that Edmonton is a growing community, that we are attracting more people to move into our city. Any ideas, like, if we don't encourage this kind of low intensity change in the community, even though changes when it happens next door is always have an immediate impact on the neighbors, but having fourplex, same height, with restrictions on the coverage area, like, if we don't accommodate people in the existing neighborhoods with existing infrastructure, any thoughts, like, how do we accommodate people as we move?
Well, I understand it. Here's a good thought. On 66th Avenue, the road is wide enough that you can put a full line of cars on both sides of the road, and the 2 lanes are still drivable. So if they put a fourplex or threeplex in there, that you get more infrastructure where people can live there. But my main concern is 93rd is already plugged up, and then people start getting angry and start buzzing around and all the driving real fast through the residential areas, which are already 1 lanes, and it's going to exacerbate it's the problem with
Maybe it's a shortcut problem too, because some people trying to get onto Argyle. If they can't get onto Argyle from 96th Street, they come to 93rd to get on. Maybe that's a localized issue that we can ask administration. What are the other options of tackling those kind of concerns? Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here today with us. And I'll take the chair back.
I return the chair.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes the questions to both of you. If you can stay there, there might be other questions after we have done with the concluded of questions to administration. So at this time, I will open up the questions from administration to, from council to administration. Okay, Councillor Jans.
Thank you. Could administration outline what do we have in the way of, like, traffic management programs?
So for the mature neighborhoods, we do have, through Safe Mobility, street labs program that takes into account any traffic calming measures, any safety issues that are arising due to densification within the neighborhood. That's very much targeted program that is underway for a number of years.
Okay, so that we could work with them to, if this proposal, or it sounds like there's already issues there, so regardless of the outcome today, it sounds like we should flag that for the team. What about parking management plans or programs?
So on parking management side, we do have a work underway that is a curbside management strategy. It does include investigating into different tools that can be implemented in areas that are facing some challenges on parking front. That could be revisiting residential parking program in a way that it is much more forward-looking and supporting densification at the same time striking a balance between the two.
I've heard from some neighbors in the area close by to our guests here that they think the parking culprit is people coming to park to go into Mill Creek Ravine and take the dog park through there. So when you have like a very high destination like the ravine in Hazeldean, what measures could be taken?
One example could be time-restricted parking within the neighborhood. That could discourage that kind of parking, but at the same time, we should also think that if there is a park, a destination that is more for the community, we have to be mindful that we are not restricting access to that.
Right. I believe I read in Japan that when you register, if you want to get a registration for your car, you have to prove that you have somewhere to park the car. Is that something that's ever been contemplated by the city, or is that even within the powers of the city?
No.
So city currently no longer regulate parking. That was through our open option parking that that the council approved. But generally speaking, in these kind of zonings, we do see that at least one parking spot is provided. The applicant can speak to that in detail if needed.
And I think I read in this case that was the plan. There was a garage to be built.
That's what we have seen in such formats, that at least one parking stall is there.
And I was trying to see a comparable example of this proposal to other neighborhoods. Is this unprecedented, or do we have other examples of this kind of development on a busy street like say 93rd?
This is not unprecedented. As far as busy street, it's again subject to perception. So we don't see this to be, this is a local road that does provide good connectivity to collectors. Collector to the north, which is 66th Avenue, arterial to the south is 63rd. The neighborhood itself is very nicely positioned. If you see, you have LRT coming to the east, you have Gateway Boulevard on the western side, which in future is slated to have enhanced transit as well. So I think grid type network does help disperse the traffic rather than creating more issues. What we have investigated currently, this neighborhood is still sitting on about 1,400 units. The density is below 20 units, dwelling units per hectare, which is again not significant. So all that tells us that, yeah, this is the right zoning to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Am I able to ask one question?
No, sorry, this is not how the process works. So the way, if council members have questions to you, right, after we have asked questions to administration, then you'll be able to respond. Otherwise, I'm so sorry, this is not the.
If he says something that's wrong?
No, I'm sorry. Council members would have to pose those questions to you. Councilor Knack, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor Sohi. Just wanted to check, because of the proximity of the LRT, I know with Valley Island West and I think along Southeast, we are not necessarily proactively doing parking management programs, but as LRT is completed, we're working with some communities or some blocks or some areas around parking management programs. Is this area close enough that this would, or would this be something that would still be more likely resident-led based off the distance to the?
I think it's latter, because if you see the immediate need or attention would be to the neighborhoods like Holyrood, Bonnie Doon that are directly impacted, but then the area of influence can broaden over time. There will be some changes to ETS routing as well once the LRT is open, so better connectivity being provided so that there is less reliance on vehicular traffic.
And that's helpful, and so just to clarify, I mean, the idea is that the parking management program system has been in place for a long time, but with the introduction of the e-park system, it has allowed for greater flexibility or options to consider. Is that correct now?
That's correct, yeah.
And so if you had an interested group of residents, because again, I'm sort of setting aside, because independent of this rezoning, I've heard that there's a challenge based from what residents have said. Typically with the way parking management programs work is if you get, I think is it 2/3 or is it 50% for parking management? I can't remember.
I think it's 2/3.
2/3. sounds like they have a petition of folks that might all be sharing similar concerns around traffic. So you could, if they were interested, they could look to initiate that at any point in time. They could get in touch with their counselor, work with our parking management team, and look to put something in today because that appears to be an issue for them.
Request can be made, but keeping in mind that we currently have a body of work that is looking into the residential parking program, so it will be up to the operations to see, is it now a good time to introduce more, or just wait for that work to happen?
Fair, okay. But there is an opportunity to work that, okay. I think that's, I want to just double check here. Parking was the main piece. Do we have, besides that larger development, the Christensen piece, do we have a sense of the housing mix? I ride through Hazeldean from time to time. I use 96, but I primarily use the Ravine Trail myself. So just wanted to get a sense, besides that larger development, what else do they have in terms of that mix right now?
For Christensen specifically, they're typically seniors housing for Christensen.
But broadly throughout that community in terms of row housing options, do you have that?
Well, there's like a range of zoning for sure, and we're recently, say last year, September 22, a council approved a rezoning for RF1 to RF3, 2 blocks away. That currently has a DP issued, so we're seeing more and more row houses being developed in that area.
Yeah, the townhomes would be the sort of primary spot right now where row housing exists right now in that neighborhood, correct?
In the, what exists
in Hazeldean
currently,
as a whole,
yes.
yeah, what
yes,
exists
sorry.
currently today, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Knack. Councillor Wright.
Thank you. Getting back to the parking issue. Ms. McKay had mentioned something about putting up signs in front of their houses for no parking except for themselves, but that would take place under the residential parking program. That, like, they can't just put those up themselves, right?
No, and then again, I think it's a broader question in terms of not necessarily personalizing a public space. So I think that itself, that notion is a bit challenging to be implemented.
And until that whole body of work is done, if somebody did have like accessibility needs, they could request an accessibility spot in front of their home?
That I believe is possible.
So you have to be unhealthy to have.
So that is an option for maybe senior or anybody that needs accessibility access outside their home, right?
I would say yes, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I had. I just wanted to clarify the putting up a sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Principe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Every time, or I shouldn't say every time, but quite often we hear concerns from constituents about parking issues and traffic issues. When are we expected to see the residential parking program come in front of council?
Councillor Principe will follow up with you on that. Excuse me, I'm not entirely certain of the timing for that.
Okay, thank you. And also traffic study, is it possible to do a traffic study in this area, or would that be, you were saying, part of maybe a lab, a traffic lab?
I think it would be more fall within the Street Labs program. Traffic study for this kind of a change is not necessarily needed because of the change in magnitude of traffic that this entails. But yeah, and that will take care of the broader network issues related to the neighborhood rather than just one isolated location.
Okay, and this is going to be a tough question. So Councillor Knack was speaking of how the population has significantly decreased by 2,000 people. How is it that, are these the right changes to make people come back? Because this neighborhood actually held 5,000 people already, so it has the infrastructure to hold those people. Does that make sense? Like, why is it that people are not in mature neighborhoods?
Well, I think So if we look at when a neighborhood life cycle, right, and this is where we're coming on the downside of that. We used to have smaller houses with more people living in them. So to respond to today's market, people want larger houses with less people living in them. So it's just a different housing type in a new market, right? And when you think about the cost of property, cost of housing, we know we have issues with affordability, Canada, worldwide. We're trying to use properties, or the industry is trying to respond by using land in a more efficient way. And then people can have the larger house that they're seeking, but less people in it. Does that make sense?
It does, but is that what we're doing with infill? Aren't we making smaller houses?
Well, smaller houses in some cases. Okay, I don't think I'm doing a very good job explaining this. So when we think about a bungalow from the 70s, right, you might have had 5 or 6 people living in it. Okay, but we can only fit a bungalow on a certain size of property. Now, people still want to have a certain amount of square footage, even if they have smaller families. So we look for that in attaching houses, semi-detached, row housing, stacked row housing. So the demands on the property become about height and increasing site coverage, which means decreasing site setback, right, and decreasing the other space on the property. So you're really maxing out what's called the building envelope on the square footage or square meterage of the property.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Principe. Councillor Rice?
Thank you, Mayor. My question is not to administration, and it is to our guest and speaker.
Okay, so out of new information? Okay, good, okay. Councillor Paquette, can you take the chair, please?
I have the chair.
Yep. So can you confirm the height, please, that with zoning change, if it's approved by council, height will be the same, what they could build under the current zoning?
Yes, 8.9 meters.
And can you also confirm that the site coverage, does it increase or decrease? Or the setbacks, sorry, from?
Yep, slight increase in site coverage.
Site coverage, but the setbacks from the abutting property, do they go up or down?
The interior side setback is increased to 3 meters.
Okay, okay. I'm really, actually, this question is popping up in my mind. I don't know. I think it will be the right question to ask here because it's transportation related. While population might have declined in the mature neighborhoods, but car dependency might have increased over that time period, right? So how do we account for that, right? And how do we provide people with the modes of transportation that are reducing that dependency as we encourage more people to move into mature neighborhoods? So do we see sustainable modes of transportation, walking, biking, public transportation as year-round infrastructure that we need to provide to residents, that they don't have to be reliant on automobile all the time?
Short answer is yes, absolutely. And I think the important part is, what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is we have invested in LRT infrastructure that will soon open. We are looking into a longer-term horizon on transit network, what can be done when we are reaching 1.25 million population. We have invested and are currently implementing a lot of infrastructure around bike network.
Okay.
So all those combined are basically giving us a much more sustainable infrastructure that is not necessarily just for vehicular traffic, rather providing those options and choices to the residents.
Yeah, is those choices of sustainable modes of transportation reducing dependency? Because I think we're forcing people to drive because the other infrastructure is lacking. So would you say, do we look at like in this specific case, we may say infrastructure is available, but we look at the whole neighborhood when we do that. Is sustainable modes of transportation available year-round for entire Hazeldean or Ritchie, including, if you include the bigger area?
Oh, for sure. So one example that comes to mind, or very much relevant to Hazeldean neighborhood, is we talked about the transit. So transit currently does run along 63rd Avenue.
Is it, how often does it run? Every
Yeah.
hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes?
It is a regular service. The problem is that we don't have a good connection and bus stops located along the southern boundary of Hazeldean. So around 700, 750 meter walking distance from the zoning site to the nearest bus stop. So that to us is a clear indication of a gap in the
So
infrastructure.
are we going to change that as we have these further discussions on accessibility and access to transit?
I think that's all on table as LRT opens, as we look at rerouting some of the routes where the demand is, what can we do better to provide efficient transit? Does it include additional bus stops? It could be part of that as well, for sure.
Okay. Well, that's good to know that we are thinking about it in a holistic way. The trails you heard from Gordon Lair, that the trails are phenomenal, but they're only accessible 4 months a year because the rest of the year they're not maintained or not, snow is not cleared. So do we have that holistic approach to making sure that the way we clear roadways, that roadways that are used by people who walk, bike, are cleared the same way, whether pathways or multi-use trails?
So for bikes, definitely any on-street bike infrastructure that's treated as a priority.
How about the trails within the ravine system? Because they are mode of transportation. A lot of people bike on them during summer.
We can make a note of that
please,
and come back.
Yeah, if you don't mind sharing that, that'll be good information. Okay. I will take, that's all, those are the questions I had, and I'll take the chair back.
Oh, I'll just hold on to it. Just kidding. Return the chair.
Yeah, thank you so much, Councillor Paquette. Okay, with that, this concludes the questions to administration. At this time, I will ask if council members have any questions to administration or to the people in favor or community members in opposition to this application regarding any new information arising out of the previous discussion, and I'll go to Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. I do notice our guests, Ms. McKay and Mr. Lear, you have some comments or new information you would like to present to us. So I will take this opportunity to ask you for your questions or for any information you would like to add.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just the one point that, I don't know who the gentleman who was just talking there, had said that all the roads that they've looked at is good accessible roads to 63rd Avenue. Our street is definitely not. When the cars are parked on both sides, which they do, you have a one-lane traffic road to get to Argyle or to 63rd. And so people are stopping at both ends waiting for the other cars to come through. So that is not what I would call an accessible road to get to 63rd. 96th Street is, 97th Street has wide enough roads, and also going up on 66th Avenue all the way over to Argyle that has access, but the 93rd Street is a one-way road where people have to alternate when they get through between the cars.
Okay, thank you for that information. And also, Ms. McKay, and do you have anything you would like to add?
Traffic study would be good, because when you go on 93rd and you go up to Argyle, there's no lights, and it takes for, like he was just saying, how congested it is, and people can't make a right-hand turn. Even though there's stop signs, some people will just be in the middle and then take a quick, just go right without being in the right lane.
Yeah, the left can't turn because the right side's blocking their view when they pull up beside you to turn right. So you're stuck there for quite a while.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Councillor Jans?
Yeah, again, same as Council Rice, just giving our guests an opportunity if there was anything else they wanted to share, clarify.
I think you have to ask a question.
I do the guest as a question. Do our guests have anything else that they wanted to share? In addition, I saw hands go up a couple of times.
I think I'm good. I gave my opinion on the one comment. I don't know if Debbie has anything.
The clearing the bike trails in the winter, that would be too expensive as well, and nobody uses that in the winter. It's just mostly in the 4 months of the spring, summer.
Okay. All right, Councillor.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Wright?
Thank you. Administration had shared some information about Street Labs. Are you familiar with that program?
Street what?
Street Labs?
Oh, lamps.
Labs,
Okay.
L-A-B-S. It's a community-led initiative.
Can you tell your...
They affect people's homes because when they're on all night, they're really bright.
No.
Labs?
LABS, right?
Councillor Wright, can you explain what the program is?
What's labs?
The city has a program to help residents come together with the city and work together to address traffic problems, things speeding and whatnot in your neighborhoods. And I think a number of us councillors have had great success with it in our neighborhoods, in our wards.
I wasn't aware of that, so.
So
they can
Street
put
Labs,
lights up? Okay. so
L-A-B-S,
Okay.
like a laboratory.
All right.
Yeah.
So we get together and
Yeah.
discuss what we need in our location. Okay.
Yeah, and they can, they can look at doing different types of traffic calming measures to maybe slow down the speeders. If the
Well, that there is a signs up already, but we're concerned about the congestion of how, because like you said, there's one little.
So what they'll do is they'll have, a number of consultants from the city come out, engineers, and maybe see if there's a different way to, change flow of traffic or put up other signage in that.
Where would we find information on that?
You can go to the city's website and just type in Street Labs.
And then it'll show for all the different areas?
And then it'll just give you the information of how you can get in touch with our city
Okay, great.
safety team, okay?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. So that concludes the questions to any new information arising out of previous discussion. At this time, we are ready to close the public hearing on these items, for this item, sorry. Anyone to move to close the public hearing on bylaw 20550?
So moved.
Councillor Rutherford, second.
Second.
Councillor Salvador, okay. All right, so please vote for closing of the public hearing.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
We have all the votes?
Okay, display the votes, please. That is carried.
I'll move first reading of item 3.5.
Second.
Thank you. We have a first reading on the floor. At this time, I will open up if council members wish to speak. Okay. Councillor Paquette, can you take, Councillor Jans, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I want to begin by thanking the guests who came today, as well as the others who sent correspondence to mine and other offices through this process. I think there's many examples of this kind of high housing type in mature neighborhoods throughout the city, and I think as we sort of got into in the conversation today, we really have our work cut out ahead of us in the city, especially in mature neighborhoods, around these questions of parking and transportation. That it really doesn't seem like the housing typology per se is the challenge. It's some of these externalities that we need to look at and to think about. So regardless of the outcome of the vote today, I think we do need to accelerate work as a council on these parking strategies and the transportation strategies. It's not lost on me the urgency of the housing crisis we're in, the climate emergency, and how, just pulling up, I pulled up the MLS and looked at how many houses were for sale right now in Hazeldean, and it's 25. And we heard from speakers previously that 20,000 people are moving to Edmonton every single year. 20,000 people per year, like the city of Beaumont, and they have been for the last 10 years. So as we look at our population growth and where we're going to be adding people, do we want to continue the suburban sprawl, and do we want to continue eating up the wetlands and eating up the farmlands and producing a cost of housing that is ridiculously unaffordable and in terms of our tax burden and everything else, or do we want to move towards a more compact, sustainable urban form? And I think the answer, loud and clear, we've heard from Edmontonians, is yes, we need to curb the sprawl. But with that, we got to make sure that we do so in a thoughtful and considerate way for all of those who have lived in the neighborhood for decades and are used to a certain way of doing things around the neighborhood. So I guess if we've going forward, I know the parking plan is coming, but I know we also need to look at how we can increase our Edmonton transit usage as well as other modes of transportation. I know that this was an area where we had been looking at, I believe they lost some service through the bus network redesign, or at least it was an adjustment. So that's something that as density is added again and as more humans are back in the neighborhood, we need to think about increasing that there. So I certainly do empathize with the impacts of the more traffic, of the change on the corner, of the new challenges and changes that a development like this could bring for the immediate neighbors, including often that's more acute in a cul-de-sac because of just the dead end nature of a cul-de-sac. So yeah, it's not lost on me how much of a pain this would be if it were my neighbor as well too. So but I guess finally again I reiterate we know that if we want to keep taxes down for people across the city of Edmonton, we don't need one of these developments. We probably need 1,000 of them spread out through all 400 neighborhoods of the city. And only by being more efficient with our infrastructure are we going to actually be able to keep taxes down. So on balance, something like this for the whole of the city of Edmonton, for all of our residents, is quite a good thing. Albeit, we have to recognize the local challenges here too. So yeah, it's a tough one. So my mind remains open, and I'll listen to my colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Jans. Councillor Knack.
Thanks, Mayor Sohi, and thanks, Councillor Jans, for your comments. A few to offer as well, and maybe touching on your last point first. It's been a while since, and we've talked about it from time to time here in this chamber here, but I think it is worth sort of reiterating some of the economic challenges of the growth patterns as we have seen over the years. It's almost 10 years old now. I think it was 2014 we had the report around the Integrated Infrastructure Management Program, which did an analysis of our growth patterns as a city. And it determined that based off the way we were currently growing, and specifically in regards to the three undeveloped new areas within our city limits in the southeast, the southwest, and the northeast, that there would be a net cost to taxpayers of $1.4 billion. So when you factor in all of the property taxes we get from those new developments that they provide, and you subtract that with the actual cost of building police stations, fire halls, rec centers, libraries, there's a net cost just for the infrastructure of $1.4 billion. That doesn't include the operating costs of actually staffing those buildings, cutting the grass in the parks, removing snow off the roads, and all of that other piece. And so, to Councillor Jans's point, that is part of why we have, as a city, been trying to shift our growth patterns. But of course, as you just noted as well, with that comes tension. I've heard from two folks here who are very concerned about what that looks like. That's not uncommon. I've heard it many times in many mature neighborhoods, and there's this constant back and forth. And there's not an easy way to solve every problem, because even something as simple as parking, which I say is simple, but it's actually not. We used to have parking regulations. That whole neighborhood was developed under parking regulations, and yet everyone uses their garage for storage instead of parking their car. That was when we had parking regulations. So creating parking regulations didn't actually solve constraint issue there. You know, I was encouraged by some of the conversation today around there's different tools in the street. I want to just echo Councillor Wright's piece around the street labs. I know a number of us have had a chance in the last even few weeks to do some walks with the Safe Mobility team and neighbors in different communities that we represent, because they've initiated that work. And it gave us a great chance to actually walk the streets with traffic engineers, with traffic safety experts, with community members to go and talk about what the current concerns are. So I'd really stress that, because, again, I would echo, I think what I heard today is that's a concern independent of what we do today on this vote. And so I think that's a great opportunity to go forward. Ultimately, I know to the dismay of those in attendance who are in opposition, I will support this, because this is a built form we are doing more and more of in all of the mature neighborhoods. I live across the avenue from a 10-unit row housing development that took the place of 2 single-family homes. And that's a real impact, but at the same time, my neighborhood also saw a pretty big drop in population, put the school at risk of closure. In the West End, we've actually lost a few schools in the last year because there weren't enough kids in the neighborhoods anymore. And so we're trying to find the way forward to balance that out. And so, you know, I know we often have these conversations here in this chamber, but for the folks here who are speaking about their particular neighborhood, it's hard. And so, you know, I will support it, recognizing that I think there's opportunities to work with your counselor on some of the specific concerns you've raised. It might not solve every issue, because even today I heard 2 different perspectives from our 2 speakers, one of which who is comfortable with change, some of the new developments, because it is raising property values, but in turn that raises taxes. And I know that's not necessarily a consideration I can use in the public hearing for what's appropriate land use, but that also goes to the attention of our other speaker, who said, no, I actually am not interested in that. I'd rather see that go down, which is never easy, even when you have competing perspectives among neighbors. So I'll support this development and encourage you both to get in touch with your counselor and work through some of the things. You won't be able to solve everything, but I think there will be an opportunity to solve quite a bit. And I think this will also help provide some new choices in a community that like most mature neighborhoods, has seen a fairly large drop in population over the few decades here. So, thank you.
Can I ask one more question with just a yes/no answer?
I'm so sorry. This is not how, it's so, maybe you find it disappointing, right? But this is how the process is, that I have to follow the process. So
just a yes/no
I'm sorry,
answer.
I'm so sorry. This is not how it, once the public hearing is closed, no more questions can be asked.
Appreciate it.
There's legal requirements, just have to, procedural requirements that I have to follow. Sorry about that. Councillor Paquette, can you take the chair, please?
I have the chair.
Thank you. I really want to thank you, both of you, for making the time here to share your thoughts with us. I understand that when change happens, it does bring a level of anxiety and concerns, and we hear those concerns. And I want to share some of the observations here in today's conversation with the administration and with the public. It raises few questions in my mind. I want to have administration, consider as we move forward on these things. One is that these are engaged citizens. During public consultation process, I don't know why they were not made aware of height restrictions, setback restrictions, right? What is missing in our public engagement that people are not able to get that information? Another is that we have this program called Street Labs to create options for neighbors to deal with traffic issues. But here are 2 citizens that are not aware of that program. So what is missing in our engagement process that this basic information is not shared, not made available? Maybe it is made available, I don't know, right? But it's still not trickling to the communities. I think that's observation I wanna share with you. The other is, our population grew by 15% from 2015 to 2022. But our investments in sustainable modes of transportation has lagged behind. Even in bus service, per capita investment in bus service has decreased over that time. So how do we create choices for people that they don't have to drive? I think because we have not invested enough in sustainable modes of transportation to give people a choice, that people are forced to make choices where they have to buy a car, or where family has to have same number of cars as residents living in that dwelling, right? I think that's another thing that as we move forward on this ambitious goal of accommodating 50% of our new population into mature neighborhoods, which is absolutely I support, is a very important goal to achieve for sustainability reasons, for sustainability in every aspect, from cities' financial sustainability to ecological sustainability and tackling with climate change and reducing emissions. Absolutely important. But whether people live in a suburb or in a mature neighborhood, if they don't have choices how they move around, they will be forced to drive. I think that's something we have to really be thinking about as we look at this, right, and encourage this. That's another observation I want to share with the administration, right? So, obviously we have to embrace this change, and not embracing change in communities is not an option at this time, because the way we're going, otherwise we will continue to grow outwards, because our community will continue to grow. We need that population growth for long-term sustainability of everything that we are doing here. So, I'm sorry, I hear your concerns, and we are raising these questions with administration. We need to find solutions to accommodate people's concerns in mature neighborhoods, but we also need to continue to embrace this change. So with that, I will take the chair back.
Return the chair.
Thank you, and I will call the vote.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
We're just waiting on one vote. Councillor Stevenson, are you still in the meeting?
Yes, sorry, it didn't come up for me, but I'm a yes.
Okay, thank you. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Okay.
I'll move second reading of item 3.5.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
I'm a yes. Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councillors Stevenson and Hamilton. We have all the votes.
Display, here we go, it's carried.
I'll move consideration of third reading on item 3.5.
Second.
Okay, please vote for consideration.
I'm a yes. Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
And I'll move third and final reading of Charter Bylaw 20550.
Second.
Okay, please vote for the final reading.
Yes, Madam Clerk. Yes, for me.
Thank you. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Okay. So that dealt with 3.5. Our next item is 3.11 and 3.12 Bylaw 20545 to amend the Callahan Neighborhood Area Structure Plan and Charter Bylaw 20546 to allow for low-rise multi-unit housing and public parks uses. Callahan, selected by Councillor Rice, and let me see. Here we go. All right, I'll check if there are people who are registered to speak are here. Jeff Hansen, to answer questions only.
Correct, Mayor, yes.
Brian Murray to answer questions only.
I'm here.
Danny Williams to Danny Wilson to answer questions only.
Yes, I'm here, Mayor.
Okay. And no one is in opposition. So, Councillor Rice, do you need a presentation from administration?
I do not need to. The report is very clear. I just have a few clarification questions.
So, question
and to the public, and also to the administration.
Okay, so we will start with the questions to the members of public who are in favor, organizations, sorry, BNA, and Earth Group of companies. So go ahead, Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. So, a few questions. The first question related to the park, and right now rezoning and from private park to the public park. So the first question about, is there any plan right now, what type of amenities and in this park?
Councillor, I can take that question for you.
Thank
At the moment, we have not entered into those discussions yet with administration. Currently, we've shifted the park from more of a private amenity to the residents to more of a public-facing opportunity. Of course, have gifted that park to administration. Rohit Communities is also investing with a cash contribution to help program that park, but those discussions are yet to come to life.
Okay, so they will have the upcoming and community engagement to make the determination what type of amenities will be included in that park, right?
That's a question for administration, Councillor. This would be
sure.
a city-owned park at that point.
So I understand it's city-owned park and then will be passed over and to city once the development is done. So I will follow up with city administration and in terms of the maintenance as well. So the next question about the traffic impact and also parking impact in the neighborhoods. I understand our city, we do have traffic management program, we have residential parking program. Because this is new development right now on this empty land, I just want to share I want to ask, from development perspective, is there any plan or consideration in place to reduce any traffic impact and parking impact and for the neighborhoods? That is a question I actually received from residents in that area.
Yeah, I appreciate that question, Councillor. Well, currently the direct control that's in place today does allow for 7 and 11-story developments. Of course, we're rezoning down to an RA7, which would accommodate similar densities, but in a conventional zone. All parking required for the site is required to be on the property, and so there would not necessarily be a spillover of parking into the neighborhood. Whether or not visitors use public streets, that's up to them. But this is also a bus route, so on-street parking would be limited. As far as the amount of parking being provided, we have not yet gotten to the full design of the redevelopment for the property, but it would all be under the RA7 zoning that's allowable.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So in terms of the building itself, it's a multi-level buildings, and as you mentioned here, and right now we're done at the level to about 4 stories. So the question is, for the building itself, is more close to existing neighborhoods multi-use paths, or is more close to the major roads, James Moho? So I just want to get a clarification on that.
You bet. And I apologize, we haven't yet designed the site, but it would be within the parameters and the required setbacks of the RA7. It would very likely be closer to James Mowat with some opportunity to have housing towards the multi-use path as well. But that really is yet to be designed and to be determined with the development officer.
That's great. Thank you for that answer. And the last question is about the trees and in the area. And then the trees and is planning for the removal or more about the concern and from residents is a cut. And because for the any development, we are really concerned about for some mature trees to be moved, to be like cut, and we lost it. We want to keep them. So is there any consideration and thoughts on that?
We will certainly take that into consideration, Councillor, again, because we have not advanced site planning. We have not yet identified through a tree survey which trees can be retained. But hear you loud and clear and share the concerns with the community. We will undertake that study at the time of design.
Okay, so for the last few seconds, I want to ask commercial use spaces. And because the first reason is a concern from residents is more about the limited commercial rezone spaces. Can you comment on that a little bit more?
Yeah, the intent from Rohit is to develop residential uses.
Okay, so that's my question to our public speakers.
Right.
So I have more questions to administration. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Rice. At this time, I will ask if other council members have any questions to the proponent. Seeing none, and no one is in opposition, at this time we'll go to questions of administration. Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. So I do have the two questions to administration. The first one, and because the private park right now will rezoning to become the public park, so I want to follow up the earlier comments we discussed about the further community engagement for the amenities and in this park. I want to make sure that in the records, the further community engagement, and we'll get the feedback, input, and from our residents in terms of amenities in this park.
Councillor Rice, that is something we will take back to our parks group. They were the ones who will get this land. They don't have it yet. It will be transferred to them, but we will make them aware that needs to be done as they go forward. We're not sure what their plans are at this point, but that's to be determined.
So, okay, so
Councillor, just to add, so as the park moves into the park inventory, any development on the park that's been funded through a capital profile has to go through public engagement process, which involves the community leagues or other stakeholders around here. Due to the location kind of around the river valley, the thought is that there will probably be more of a passive recreation space, but any development that does occur or improvement on the space will include public engagement prior to it happening.
So I just want to recap that my understanding is correct. So right now, because this rezoning and will be transferred from private park to the public park, does that mean and our city right now is in full responsibility to develop everything there? Or is just the developer will complete the development for the park and then pass over to city? So this is two different. I want to be very clear in the public record.
Councillor, my understanding, typically the land is transferred to the city. Once it's in our ownership, we get to determine the kind of uses that will go on there. As Mr. Pollock just alluded to, it may just become of a more naturalized space with walkways, but we're not sure of that yet.
Okay, so we're not sure that yet. So that means for the development specific for the park site, and we don't have the plan at this moment.
That's correct. No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So the next one, because this park becomes a public park, and then the question becomes between this park and the Kavanagh, because there is the division, and then by and Black Mud Creek, and right now that's pedestrian bridge is not there yet, and residents ask over and over for that question. Is that the city's responsibility or is the developer's responsibility to make that connection between Colehan and this park site and then Kavanagh area?
Council, that would be the city's responsibility.
Okay, so that will be part of this park development?
Yes.
Okay,
again,
wonderful.
Depending on funding.
Okay, thank you for that. And then I want to ask the question about the traffic impact, and then also the parking impact, and also the lights, traffic lights, and then so residents specific concerning about it. We know we have the street lamp, and then but that is more for the mature neighborhood. This is new development, and I want to make sure, and from that development perspective, and we have something in plan in place and to make sure we're not create the future concern about the traffic impact and also the parking issues and in the neighborhood. So can I ask that notes to be made and in the design?
Yeah, I think that's fair, and as mentioned by the applicant, that there will be parking provided on site as well. And there is some reduction in the density as such. The current DC allows 240 units to be part of this area that's being rezoned. So with RA7, it is expected to be less than that.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Mr. Mayor, I'm ready to move the close.
Yeah. So that concludes the questions to administration. At this time, I will ask if council members have any questions arising out of previous discussion, any new information arising out of previous discussion. Seeing none, at this time, we are ready to close the public hearing.
Yeah, so I move the bylaws item 3.11, 3.12 will be closed.
Second?
Okay. Second by Councillor Principe. Please vote.
Yes.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
I move the first reading and for 3.11 and 3.12.
Second?
Thank you. Please vote.
So,
I'm sorry. Yeah, we got it. We have a first reading on the floor. At this time, I will open the floor for council members to speak. Councillor Stevenson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just very briefly wanted to acknowledge and share appreciation to the applicants for giving this parkland to the city for free. That's very appreciated, and just want to acknowledge that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. I'll go to Councillor Rice to close.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. So I would echo my colleague, Councillor Stevenson's appreciation and for this opportunity and specifically for the neighborhood. And we have more green spaces and it's really, I think is really exciting and for the more green spaces and in those middle density area, and that is always welcome and for more green spaces in the neighborhood. I really want to say thank you for that. Specifically, and like I mentioned in my question earlier, this is a new development in the neighborhood. This really contributes to the South Edmonton and bring more green spaces and to the neighborhood and also bring more people and to the neighborhood. As I mentioned earlier, the new development and is for longer term development, because we do not want to come back to discuss like traffic impact, parking issues, and traffic lights issues in the neighborhood. It's more about how we designed and really to work with residents there around the neighborhood there and to keep that cohesive and the characters in the area. I think that development and is really important and for the South Edmonton, definitely I'm here to support this one and also here to looking forward to when the detailed plan and more engaged community engagement and also design to reflect the comments, the inputs and from residents in the neighborhoods. Okay, thank you very much. And then.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. So please vote.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
I move the second reading for the 2.11, 2.12.
Second?
All right, thank you. Please vote.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
So I move the
Just hold
consideration.
on.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Go ahead now. Yeah.
So I move the consideration for the third reading.
Second?
Okay, so please vote for consideration.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried.
I move that bylaw 20545, chart bylaw 20546 for the last of third reading.
Second?
Thank you. Please vote for the final reading.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. I think that concludes all the bylaws. And I ask if there are any notices of motions or motions without customary notice. Seeing none, we are adjourned at 11:36.